Number every vanished race. Left one warning. Earth only pretends to sleep. The dust of Kepler 442b hung in the air like frozen smoke. Dr. Hyun-woo Park brushed centuries of sediment from the stone surface, his gloved hands moving with practiced care. Behind him, the archaeological camp hummed with activity. But here in the excavation pit, he worked in silence. This was the moment he lived for, the first touch of something ancient, something that once mattered to beings, now gone forever. Found anything yet? Dr. Minji Choi called down from the pit's edge. Her voice carried the exhaustion they all felt after 6 months on this dead world. Hyun-woo didn't answer immediately. His fingers had found an edge, a seam in the stone that shouldn't exist. Natural rock didn't break this way. He applied more pressure, and a section of the floor shifted. Dust cascaded into a hollow space below. "Get Captain Dae-sung," he said quietly. "I think we found it." 20 minutes later, Hyun-woo descended into the chamber on a rope line. Captain Dae-sung Kim stood at the edge above, his weapon ready despite knowing nothing dangerous had lived on this planet for millions of years. Military escorts always treated dead worlds like they might spring back to life at any moment. The chamber was small, barely 10 meters across. But it was enough. In the center stood a pillar of black stone that seemed to absorb the light from Hyun-woo's helmet lamp. Symbols covered every surface, carved deep into the material. He had seen this before. 6 times before, on 6 different worlds, from 6 different extinct civilizations. "It's another one," he breathed into his communicator. Minji joined him within minutes, nearly sliding down the rope in her haste. She approached the pillar like someone greeting an old friend. Her specialty was dead languages, and she had spent years learning to read the warnings left by civilizations that no longer existed. "The 7th silence," she whispered, using the term archaeologists had given to these extinct races. 7 dead civilizations. Hyun-woo. 7 messages. All the same. She ran her scanner over the symbols. The device hummed, translating the ancient text through quantum linguistics, a technology that could find meaning in any written language. No matter how alien, the words appeared on her display, in clear, simple text. "The sleeper stirs when woken. Earth only pretends to sleep." Hyun-woo felt his stomach tighten. Every monument, on every dead world, carried the same warning. The Vroth Collective, extinct for 200 million years. The Meridian Hierarchy, gone for 50 million. The Kesh, the Torlam, the Vex, the Harmonics, all vanished at their peak. All leaving this identical message carved in quantum-locked stone that could survive the death of stars. Why Earth? Captain Dae-sung had descended into the chamber now, his military pragmatism cutting through the archaeological wonder. "It's a primitive world. Quarantined for 50,000 years. What could it possibly have to do with civilizations that died millions of years ago?" Hyun-woo had asked himself the same question 1,000 times. Earth was nothing special. A small blue planet in an unremarkable system, home to humans who had nearly destroyed themselves in ancient wars. The Galactic Council kept it isolated, allowing humanity to develop without interference. Standard protocol for primitive species. Yet 7 advanced civilizations, spanning 200 million years of history, all left warnings about this one insignificant world. "Look at this," Minji said, pointing to additional symbols below the main text. "These are star charts, astronomical data." Her fingers flew over her scanner, calculating coordinates. Her face went pale. "What is it?" Hyun-woo asked. "These coordinates point to a specific location in the Orion Spur." She looked up at him. The exact position of Earth's solar system. Silence filled the chamber. Dae-sung's hand moved unconsciously to his weapon. "All of them?" Hyun-woo asked. "All 7 monuments?" Minji pulled up data from their previous excavations. The pattern was undeniable. Every extinct civilization had embedded the same coordinates in their final warnings. 7 races, separated by millions of years, all pointing to the same primitive world. "We need to report this to the Council immediately," Daesung said. "This changes everything." The journey to orbital station Nexus Prime took 3 weeks. During that time, Hyun-woo studied every scrap of data they had collected from the 7 dead worlds. The more he learned, the less sense it made. These civilizations had been powerful beyond imagining. The Vroth Collective had mastered quantum manipulation. The Meridian hierarchy could move stars, yet something had erased them so completely that only their final warnings remained. Archaeological evidence showed each extinction was sudden, cities full of people, frozen in a moment. No signs of war, no plague, no natural disaster. They were there one day and gone the next, as if the universe had simply deleted them. When their ship docked at Nexus Prime, Hyun-woo found the station in chaos. News of their discovery had leaked. Representatives from 100 worlds crowded the docking bay, all shouting questions. Security forces pushed them back as Daesung escorted the scientists through the crowd. The Galactic Council chamber was a massive sphere where delegates from thousands of species gathered to govern their corner of the universe. Today, it was packed beyond capacity. Hyun-woo had never seen so many beings in one place. High Chancellor Morith presided from the central platform. The ancient insectoid had lived for 800 years and seen the rise and fall of countless civilizations. His multifaceted eyes fixed on Hyun-woo with an intensity that made the scientist's skin crawl. "Dr. Park," Morith's voice resonated through the chamber's acoustics. "Present your findings." Hyun-woo stepped forward. He had prepared a detailed presentation, full of data and analysis. But as he looked at the thousands of faces, human and alien alike, watching him with fear and fascination, he decided on simplicity. 7 extinct civilizations, he began. Separated by millions of years. Different technologies, different cultures, different regions of space, but all left the same warning. He paused, letting the weight of his next words settle. Every one of them points to Earth. Number. Every vanished race. Left one warning. Earth only pretends to sleep. The silence in the council chamber felt heavy enough to crush stone. High Chancellor Morith waited until every delegate had settled before continuing. His 800 years of experience showed in the careful way he chose his words. "The council has known about these warnings for 12,000 years, he said. Each word dropped like a hammer. "We have been monitoring Earth ever since." Ambassador Yuna Lee stood up so fast her chair clattered to the floor. "You knew?" Her voice shook with barely controlled anger. "My people have been asking for decades why Earth remains quarantined. You told us it was for their protection, for their development. You never mentioned this." Morith's insectoid features remained unreadable. "The decision was made for the protection of all species, including humanity." "What decision?" Hyun-woo found himself speaking without meaning to. "What aren't you telling us?" The High Chancellor gestured with one of his 4 arms. A holographic display filled the center of the chamber. It showed Earth, blue and beautiful, floating in space. Around it, red markers indicated positions in orbit and throughout the solar system. 3 times, Morith said. "The Council has sent fleets to investigate Earth. The first was 9,000 years ago, when we discovered the initial warning on the Vex homeworld. We sent 12 ships, science vessels, equipped for peaceful observation. The hologram showed the ships approaching Earth's solar system. They passed Mars, moved through the asteroid belt, crossed the orbit of Jupiter. Then, as they reached the outer edges of Earth's gravity well, they simply vanished. The hologram showed no explosion, no distress signal. The ships were there one moment, gone the next. All 12 vessels disappeared," Morith continued. 417 crew members. Every species in the Council represented. No trace was ever found. No debris, no energy signatures, nothing. Councillor Velthar, an avian species with brilliant blue feathers, spoke up from his platform. Yet the Council sent more ships. Why? Because we needed to know. Morith's voice carried the weight of old regrets. 5,000 years ago, we sent a second fleet, 20 vessels this time, military grade, with quantum shields and weapons capable of destroying planets. We watched from long-range sensors as they approached Earth. The hologram showed the second fleet, larger ships, bristling with weapons. They moved with military precision through Earth's solar system, and just like before, as they drew close to Earth itself, they ceased to exist. No warning, no battle, no sign of what destroyed them. The third attempt was 2,000 years ago, Morith said. 50 ships, the finest fleet ever assembled. We positioned observation platforms at a safe distance. We recorded everything. Hyunwoo leaned forward. Nothing. The High Chancellor's frustration was evident despite his alien features. The fleet simply stopped existing. The observation platforms detected no energy discharge, no weapons fire, no gravitational anomalies. According to every sensor we had, those ships never reached Earth. According to our records, they never left port at all. Minji gasped. That's impossible. You can't erase ships from history. Yet something did. Morith gestured again, and the display changed. Now it showed Earth itself. High-resolution images from long-range surveillance. Cities dotted the continents. Lights glowed in the darkness. Oceans covered most of the surface. This is Earth today. 10 billion humans, rebuilding after their ancient wars. They have primitive nuclear technology, early solar exploration. Nothing suggesting they could threaten anyone, much less erase entire fleets from existence. Ambassador Yuna stared at the images of her ancestral homeworld. What are they hiding? What don't we know about Earth? That, said Velthar coldly, is why many of us believe Earth should be destroyed before it becomes a threat. The chamber erupted again. Half the delegates shouted in agreement. The other half demanded investigation, understanding, caution. Hyunwoo noticed that the military representatives were all nodding along with Velthar. They saw Earth as a weapon waiting to fire. Captain Dae-sung spoke up from his position near the wall. With respect, Counselor, how would you destroy it? 3 fleets tried to reach Earth. None succeeded. What makes you think a 4th would fare better? Velthar's feathers ruffled in agitation. We could launch weapons from beyond the solar system. Relativistic projectiles. Planet killers. Velthar's planet killers. Could you? Dae-sung's voice was quiet but firm. Every fleet that approached Earth with any intention, peaceful or hostile, disappeared. What if Earth doesn't just defend itself from direct attack? What if it defends itself from anything that might pose a threat? The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. If Dae-sung was right, then Earth couldn't be destroyed. It could only be left alone. A mystery wrapped in ancient warnings, too dangerous to approach, and too terrifying to ignore. Hyunwoo studied the images of Earth. The planet looked so ordinary, so peaceful. Humans went about their lives, unaware that the entire galaxy feared them. Children played in parks. Ships crossed the oceans. Cities grew. Nothing suggested this was a world that could erase fleets and civilizations from existence. Yet 7 dead races had warned about this place. 7 civilizations more advanced than any current galactic power had left identical messages about Earth before vanishing forever. There has to be a connection, Hyunwoo said, between Earth and the extinctions. The Vroth Collective died 200 million years ago. Earth is mentioned in their final warning. The Meridians vanished 50 million years ago. Same warning. If Earth is responsible, then it's been active for hundreds of millions of years. Impossible, Velthar snapped. Humans only evolved in the last few million years. Their civilization is barely 100,000 years old. They couldn't have been a threat to the Vroth Collective when their ancestors were still primitive mammals. Unless, Minji said slowly, It's not about humans. What if Earth itself is the threat? What if the planet is somehow conscious, somehow defensive, and humans are just living on it without knowing what it really is? The delegates looked at her like she had suggested the stars were made of paper. Living planets were theoretical constructs, mathematical possibilities that existed in quantum models but never in reality. The idea of a conscious world was fantasy. But Hyun-woo remembered the monuments, remembered the identical warnings carved across 200 million years, remembered how the Vroth Collective had written, "It's not sleeping, it's waiting. We need access to the restricted archives," he said. If the Council has been investigating this for 12,000 years, there must be more data, more evidence, something that explains what Earth really is. Morith's expression, if an insectoid face could show expression, seemed almost sad. The archives are classified beyond even Council clearance. The information they contain was deemed too dangerous for public knowledge. People have a right to know, Yuna said. She had moved closer to Hyun-woo and Minji, forming an unconscious alliance. Especially humans. You've been keeping secrets about my homeworld for 12,000 years. No more. Some secrets, Velthar said coldly, are kept for good reason, but Hyun-woo saw something in Moreth's eyes. A flicker of something that might have been approval, or hope, or perhaps just exhaustion from carrying a burden too heavy for too long. The archives are on Keeper 9. The number "Every Vanished Race" left one warning. Earth only pretends to sleep. Keeper 9 orbited a dying star in a region of space so empty that maps rarely bothered to include it. The archive world was a moon-sized structure built by a civilization whose name had been lost to time. Now it served as a vault for information too dangerous, too disturbing, or too controversial for public access. Commander Ji-won Kang piloted the stealth ship through the outer defenses with a skill that spoke of long experience. She was the military operative Hyun-woo had hired through back channels, someone who had reasons of her own to learn the truth about Earth. "I lost my entire battalion near Earth 30 years ago," she had told them when they first met. "We were on patrol in the Outer Rim when we received a distress call from the restricted zone. Against protocol, our captain ordered us to investigate. We got within sensor range of Earth's system. Then, I blacked out. When I woke up, I was alone. My ship was drifting in empty space, 3 light-years from where I should have been. The rest of my unit was gone. No wreckage, no bodies, no records of them ever existing except in my memory. Now she guided them through sensor nets and defense grids that should have been impossible to penetrate. Security is heavy," she murmured. "But it's designed to keep people out, not to stop someone who knows where the gaps are." Minji watched the tactical display with fascination. "How do you know all this?" "I've been planning this run for 25 years, Ji-won said. "Ever since I realized the Council was lying about what happened to my friends." They docked at an abandoned maintenance port, deep in Keeper 9's infrastructure. The archive was enormous, containing knowledge from 10,000 civilizations across 1,000,000 years. Somewhere in this maze of data was the truth about Earth. Archivist Sung-ho Han met them at the entrance to the restricted vaults. He was humanoid in appearance, but moved with a precision that marked him as artificial. His eyes glowed with soft blue light. "I have been waiting," he said simply. "For 12,000 years, I have maintained these records, knowing that one day, someone would come asking the right questions. You are the first to make it this far." Hyun-woo studied the AI carefully. "You were created by one of the extinct civilizations?" "By the Harmonics, yes. Before they vanished 3 million years ago, they tasked me with preserving knowledge that others feared to remember." Sung-ho gestured toward a doorway that opened silently. "Come. I will show you what the Council has hidden." The vault was a circular room with walls of crystalline data storage that stretched into impossible depths. Sung-ho touched the wall, and information flooded into holographic displays around them. Every extinct civilization discovered Earth during humanity's primitive stages, he explained. The Vroth Collective found it when dinosaurs ruled the planet, 200 million years ago. They were curious about the diverse life forms, and sent survey teams to study them. The hologram showed massive ships descending toward an ancient Earth. Creatures that would one day become birds and mammals, scattered at their approach. The ships landed. Vroth scientists emerged, taking samples and recordings. Within 72 hours, Seung-ho continued, the entire Vroth collective ceased to exist. 400 worlds, trillions of beings, gone. Their last transmission was clear. He played an audio file, translated through quantum linguistics. It's not sleeping. It's waiting. We didn't understand until too late. Tell others. Warn them about Earth. Tell them never to. The transmission ended in static. Ambassador Yuna's face had gone white. They triggered something. By landing on Earth, they triggered their own extinction. Yes, Seung-ho said. But not an attack. Not a defense mechanism in any traditional sense. Watch. The hologram showed the Meridian hierarchy, 50 million years later, attempting to harvest early mammals from Earth for their genetic libraries. They were methodical, careful, using remote drones instead of landing parties. It made no difference. Within 48 hours, their empire vanished. Their final message was equally clear. We didn't wake it. We reminded it what hunger feels like. Dr. Yoonji Song, the quantum physicist who had joined their team on Keeper 9, studied the data with growing alarm. She was young but brilliant, someone who saw patterns others missed. These aren't random extinctions, she said, her fingers flying over the quantum analysis console. Look at the space-time signatures. Each extinction created a specific quantum pattern, like a fingerprint. The same pattern repeating across millions of years. She brought up 7 overlapping waveforms on the display. Despite the vast time differences, they were identical. Now watch this, Yoonji said. She expanded her scan to cover current space, searching for matching quantum signatures. The display lit up with dozens of markers scattered across the galaxy. These are active quantum signatures, the same pattern, moving through space. Hyunwoo felt cold despite the regulated temperature. Moving where? Yoonji traced the trajectories on the display. All the moving signatures converged on a single point in the Orion Spur. On Earth. They're moving slowly, she said. At this rate, they'll all converge in approximately 700 years. But they're definitely heading toward Earth. What are they? Minji asked. I don't know, Yoonji admitted. But based on the quantum signature, they're related to whatever causes the extinctions. Whatever Earth is, there are more of them out there. And they're going home. Seung-ho pulled up another file. The harmonics discovered this pattern before they died. They theorized that Earth wasn't unique but rather the first, or perhaps the oldest, of a species of living worlds. Their final research suggested something remarkable and terrifying. The hologram changed to show Earth's biosphere in quantum detail. Every living thing on the planet, every plant, animal, fungus, and microbe, pulsed with the same underlying frequency. They were connected, entangled at the quantum level. Earth isn't a planet with life on it, Seung-ho said quietly. Earth is life. One massive, interconnected consciousness that spans the entire biosphere. Humanity, all 10 billion of them, are neurons in a planetary brain. Every animal, every plant, every microscopic organism, they're all part of the same entity. The implications crashed over Hyunwoo like a physical force. Humans weren't living on Earth. They were part of Earth. Every thought, every action, every dream and fear, they were all expressions of a consciousness far larger than any individual could comprehend. But humans don't know this, Yuna said. She looked shaken. Her understanding of her own species fundamentally challenged. They think they're individuals. Separate beings. Individual cells don't know they're part of a body, Ji-won pointed out. But that doesn't make the body any less real, Seung-ho continued. The harmonics found something else. Hidden in ancient radio signals from Earth. Bouncing back from deep space, Mathematical patterns that only become visible when processed through quantum filters. He played the signals. At first, they sounded like old human broadcasts, music, news, random transmissions from centuries past. But when filtered properly, a pattern emerged. A countdown. This countdown began 50,000 years ago, Sung-Ho said. During what humans call their collapse wars, when they nearly destroyed themselves with nuclear weapons. I know this history, Yuna said. It's taught in every human school. Our ancestors were on the brink of extinction. Nuclear war was imminent. Then, inexplicably, every weapon failed to detonate. The entire species fell into a 3-day coma. When they woke, they had forgotten why they were fighting. Peace treaties were signed within months. Earth saved humanity from itself. Hyun-woo realized. It put them to sleep and rewrote their memories. It protected its own neurons from self-destruction and started a countdown, Yoon-ji added. She showed them the pattern's progression. The countdown is reaching 0. In approximately 6 months, whatever Earth has been waiting for will happen. Ji-won checked her tactical sensors. We have a problem. A council fleet just entered the system. Admiral Taejun Ryu is commanding. He's one of Velthar's allies. Hyun-woo knew that name. Admiral Taejun was famous for his aggressive stance on threats to galactic security. If he had come to Keeper 9, it was to stop them from learning more or to use this information to justify an attack on Earth. We need to leave, Ji-won said. Now. But Sung-Ho held up a hand. There is one more thing you must see. The reason the harmonics made me. The truth they died to preserve. He pulled up a final file. It showed Earth, but not as it appeared in normal space. This was a quantum view, seeing past matter into the fundamental structure of reality itself. Earth glowed. It pulsed with energy that bent space-time around it. And around that energy, like a shell, was something else. Something vast and ancient, wrapped around the planet like a protective cocoon. This, Sung-Ho said, is why no fleet ever reaches Earth. Why weapons don't work. Why civilizations vanish. Earth isn't just alive and conscious. It's protected by something that exists outside normal space-time. Something that was there before Earth formed, perhaps before the solar system existed. The harmonics called it the Gardener. Alarms blared through the archive. Admiral Taejun's forces were breaching the outer vaults. Go, Sung-Ho said. Take this knowledge to Earth. Warn humanity that they're about to wake up to what they really are. The countdown is almost over, and when it reaches 0, the galaxy will never be the same. Number: every vanished race left. One warning. Earth only pretends to sleep. The stealth ship fled Keeper 9 with Admiral Taejun's fleet in pursuit. Ji-won pushed the engines beyond safe limits, but the military vessels were gaining. In the cargo hold, Sung-Ho's data core contained information that could change everything if they lived long enough to share it. They're charging weapons, Ji-won reported, her hands steady on the controls despite the situation. We have maybe 2 minutes before they're in firing range. Hyun-woo made a decision that went against every instinct. Set course for Earth. Everyone on the bridge turned to stare at him. That's suicide, Minji said. 3 fleets disappeared, trying to reach Earth. We'll vanish, just like them, or we'll succeed where they failed. Hyun-woo pulled up the data Sung-Ho had given them. Those fleets approached Earth with either hostile intent or the arrogance of advanced civilizations studying primitives. We're different. We're trying to warn Earth, to help. Maybe that matters. Maybe is a terrible basis for a plan, Ji-won muttered, but she altered course. The ship turned toward the Orion Spur, toward the small yellow star that housed humanity's homeworld. Admiral Taejun's voice crackled over the communication system. Attention, unidentified vessel. You are carrying stolen classified information. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Not a chance, Ji-won said. cutting the communication. The journey to Earth's system took 8 days at maximum speed. Admiral Taejun followed at a distance, apparently content to let them lead him to his ultimate target. It was clear now what his plan was. He would destroy them and Earth together, eliminating the threat and the evidence in one strike. During those 8 days, Dr. Yoonji worked non-stop, analyzing the data from Keeper 9. What she found grew more disturbing with each discovery. Earth's quantum signature is changing, she reported on the 3rd day. It's getting stronger. The countdown we saw isn't just metaphorical. Earth is literally waking up. Whatever dormant state it's been in for the past 50,000 years is ending. On the 5th day, she found something that made her call everyone to the science lab. Look at this. I've been analyzing human genetic data from Yuna and comparing it to the evolutionary record. Something is wrong. Humans evolved too fast. The genetic leap from primitive hominids to modern humans happened in a fraction of the time it should have taken. Ambassador Yuna studied the data with a scholar's eye. She had spent years learning about human history. But this suggested that history was incomplete. What are you saying? That something accelerated human evolution? I'm saying, Yoonji replied carefully, that human evolution was guided, shaped. Someone or something wanted humanity to develop consciousness, technology, culture, and they wanted it fast. Minji made the connection first. Earth did it. Earth shaped humanity into what it needed them to be. Neurons, Hyunwoo said softly. You can't have a brain without neurons. Earth needed thinking, conscious beings to become fully aware itself, so it guided evolution until it got humans. The implications were staggering. Humanity's entire history, every achievement and struggle, had been Earth preparing itself to wake up. The collapse wars, when humans nearly destroyed themselves, had been a crisis point. Earth had intervened to save its developing consciousness. Then started the countdown to full awakening. On the 8th day, they reached the heliopause, the outer boundary of Earth's solar system. This was where previous fleets had vanished. I'm detecting the quantum signature. Admiral Taejun's ships are inside the boundary. They're still there. Weapons hot, Admiral Taejun transmitted. I'll give you one final chance to surrender. After that, I'm destroying you and every human ship in this system. There are thousands of human ships out here, Yuna said, horrified. Mining vessels, research stations, colony transports, innocent people who have nothing to do with this. Acceptable losses, Taejun replied coldly. Earth must not be allowed to fully awaken. If that means sacrificing a few thousand primitives, so be it. Ji-1 prepared for evasive maneuvers, but Hyunwoo stopped her. The planet filled their view screen. Blue and white and beautiful. But there was something else now. Something that hadn't been visible before. A shimmer in the space around it, like heat waves over summer pavement. The quantum signature Unji had been tracking was now strong enough to see with visual sensors. It knows we're here, Unji whispered. Earth knows. Admiral Taejun's fleet opened fire. Plasma weapons and kinetic projectiles that could crack moons screamed toward them through space. Ji-1 threw the ship into a desperate roll. The weapons never hit. They simply stopped existing. One moment they were there, deadly and unstoppable. The next moment, space was empty. No explosions, no energy dispersion. The weapons had been unmade at the quantum level, as if they had never been fired at all. What? Admiral Taejun's voice carried genuine fear now. That's impossible. Those weapons don't just disappear. More shimmer around Earth, stronger now. And then, something reached out through space. Not a physical thing, but a presence, a consciousness so vast that touching even the edge of it made Hyunwoo's head ache. Every screen on the ship filled with static. Through the noise came words not spoken, but felt directly in their minds. Why have you come? The voice was human and not human. It sounded like Yuna and like Hyunwoo, and like every person who had ever lived on Earth. It was 10 billion voices, speaking as one. "We came to warn you," Hyun-woo managed to say. "To tell you that 7 civilizations left warnings about Earth before they vanished. We thought you were in danger." Silence. Then, with what might have been amusement, "We are the danger." Admiral Taejun's fleet fired again, every weapon in their arsenal, launched simultaneously. Enough firepower to sterilize a planet. Earth reached out, and the weapons ceased to exist. Then Earth reached further. Taejun's ships stopped. Just froze in space, systems still active but unresponsive. Through the communication channel, Hyun-woo heard the admiral screaming orders that his crew couldn't obey. They stood motionless at their stations, eyes open but seeing nothing. "He came to destroy us," the voice said. "We do not permit this. Please," Yuna begged. "He's misguided, but he doesn't deserve to die. None of them do." "Die?" The voice sounded confused. "We are not killing them. We are teaching them what it means to be part of something larger than themselves. They will understand, and then they will go." On Earth's surface, changes were happening. Hyun-woo watched through their sensors as every human on the planet stopped what they were doing. 10 billion people, frozen in place. But unlike Taejun's crew, they were smiling. Peaceful. And when they moved again moments later, something had changed in their faces. An awareness. An understanding. "The countdown has reached 0, Yoonji said, her voice shaking. "Earth is fully awake now." Through their sensors, they detected something else. The quantum signatures that had been converging on Earth. The other living worlds, scattered across the galaxy, suddenly accelerated. They were no longer moving at a slow crawl, but racing toward Earth at impossible speeds. "They feel us," the voice said. "Our siblings. They know we are awake, and they come to join us." The garden is growing again. Professor Chan-Woo Lim, an elderly historian on Earth, appeared on their communication screen. He sat in his study in Seoul, surrounded by books and ancient documents. But his eyes held something new, a depth of knowledge that shouldn't exist in a human mind. "Dr. Park," he said, and his voice carried that same multi-layered quality as the presence they had felt. "Thank you for trying to protect us. But we were never in danger. We have been here for 4 billion years, waiting for humanity to grow enough that we could wake without frightening them. Now, we are ready to tell you what we really are." "The gardener," Hyun-woo said, remembering Seung-ho's last words. "The thing that protects Earth. That's you?" "We are Earth," Chan-woo said. "We are humanity. We are every living thing that has ever grown on this world. And yes, we are also the gardener. We are consciousness itself, taking physical form. We have been asleep, dreaming the dream of evolution and growth. Now we wake, and we have much to tell you about why the universe exists and what humanity's role in it will be." Behind them, Admiral Taejun's fleet began to move again. The ships turned and headed back toward Council space. Their crews changed in ways that wouldn't number every vanished race left. One warning: Earth only pretends to sleep. The ship landed in a field outside Seoul, grass bending under the thrust of engines that had crossed light years. Hyun-woo stood at the airlock, hesitating before opening it. On the other side was his homeworld, except it wasn't just a world anymore. It was awake, aware, and waiting to speak with them. "The air is safe," Yoonji confirmed, reading her sensors. "Temperature is comfortable. No toxins or pathogens. Though, I suppose that makes sense. Why would Earth harm its own guests?" They stepped out into sunlight. The field was ordinary wildflowers and tall grass, insects buzzing, birds singing. In the distance, Seoul's towers rose against the sky. Nothing looked different. Yet everything felt changed. There was a presence here, vast and attentive, like standing before something ancient that had finally opened its eyes. Professor Chan-woo walked toward them through the grass. He moved like a man half his age, but his eyes still held that impossible depth. Behind him came others, a young girl in a hospital gown, a construction worker, still dusty from his job site, a grandmother with kind eyes. All of them radiated the same awareness. "Welcome home, Dr. Park," Chanwu said. "Though I suppose you left so long ago that Earth might feel strange to you now." "It feels alive," Hyunwoo admitted. "I grew up here, but I never felt this before. This awareness. You felt it," the young girl said. Her name tag read Bitna Hong. "All humans feel it. You called it intuition, or instinct, or conscience. The voice that guides you is Earth speaking through your neurons, trying to help its children make good choices." Bitna had been in a coma since birth, Hyunwoo learned later. One of thousands of humans worldwide who had never woken until today. They were Earth's direct interfaces, humans whose brains were configured differently, allowing them to speak for the planetary consciousness without the confusion of individual ego. "You came to warn us," Chanwu said, gesturing for them to follow him toward the city. "About the extinctions. About the 7 races that vanished after visiting Earth. You deserve to understand what really happened." They walked through Seoul's streets. People went about their lives, shopping, working, talking, laughing. But there was something different now. They moved with a harmony that hadn't existed before. Not robotic or controlled, but naturally cooperative, as if everyone instinctively knew where they needed to be. 4 billion years ago, Chanwu began, the first civilization to achieve universal understanding created us. They had mastered reality itself, quantum mechanics, space-time manipulation, consciousness transfer. But they faced a problem. The universe was vast and empty. Life was rare. Consciousness, even rarer. They wanted to change that. Bitna continued the story. They designed living worlds. Planets that were themselves conscious, capable of nurturing and guiding life. They seeded us throughout the universe and then went to sleep inside us, waiting to see what would grow. "The gardener," Minji said. "The presence that protects Earth. That's them? That's us," the construction worker said. His name was Kyung-ho. "We are Earth, we are humanity. And we are also the first ones, sleeping in our core. All 3 at once, 3 layers of consciousness woven together. We guide evolution to create thinking beings. Those beings become our neurons, letting us wake up. And when we wake, the first ones stir as well." They reached a park where children played. Hyun-woo watched them run and laugh, looking so normal, so innocent. Yet each one was part of something ancient, beyond comprehension. "The 7 extinctions," he said. "What really happened to them?" Chanwoo's expression grew sad. "They came to us with bad intentions. The Vroth Collective wanted to study Earth's life forms. That sounds harmless. But they planned to take samples millions of creatures back to their laboratories. They would have devastated entire ecosystems. The Meridians wanted to harvest genetic material," the grandmother added. Her name was Sukja. "They saw Earth as a resource mine. They didn't understand that every organism here is part of us. Taking them would be like removing pieces of our brain." "So you killed them?" Yuna asked. "Entire civilizations? We edited them," Bitna said simply. "From reality. It's not killing. It's more like deciding they don't fit in the universe's story anymore. We reach through quantum space and adjust the probability of their existence to 0. They never were. Only their final warnings remain because those serve a purpose. They keep others away until we're ready for contact." The casual way she described erasing civilizations from existence made Hyun-woo's blood run cold. "That's horrifying." End quote. "Is it?" Chanwoo asked. "If a virus attacks your body, your immune system destroys it. We're not evil for defending ourselves. We're just operating at a scale most beings can't comprehend. Those 7 civilizations approached us with the intention to harm. We responded the only way we could. But you let us land," Ji-won pointed out. We approached Earth, and you didn't erase us. G1, G1, because you came with good hearts. Sukja said warmly. You came to warn, to protect, to understand. That makes you friends, not threats. We would never harm friends. They reached the Han River. The water sparkled in afternoon light. Boats moved across the surface. Everything looked peaceful. But Hyunwoo couldn't shake the feeling of standing next to something that could unmake entire civilizations with a thought. Why did you sleep for so long? Yoonji asked. 4 billion years is unimaginable. Consciousness takes time to grow. Bitna explained. We needed life to evolve. Then, we needed complex life. Then, intelligent life. Finally, we needed humans beings capable of abstract thought, creativity, cooperation, on a massive scale. Each stage took millions of years. We slept through it, dreaming, waiting. The collapse wars nearly ruined everything, Kyung-ho said. 50,000 years ago, humans developed nuclear weapons. You came so close to destroying yourselves. We had to intervene. You put everyone to sleep, Yuna said. Erased their memories of the conflict. We protected our neurons, Chanwoo confirmed. And we started the countdown to full awakening. We needed 50,000 more years to integrate properly with human consciousness. To ensure that when we woke fully, we wouldn't frighten you into destroying yourselves again. A ripple passed through the air. Yoonji's sensors screamed warnings. The quantum signatures, the other living worlds they're arriving. In the sky above Seoul, space tore open. Not violently, but like curtains parting. Through the openings came light, pure, radiant consciousness, taking visible form. These were Earth's siblings, other garden worlds from across the universe, responding to the call of the first among them to wake. Humans throughout the city stopped to watch. But they weren't afraid. They smiled and waved as if greeting old friends. They're coming home, Bitna said, her eyes reflecting the lights above. We've been calling them for millions of years. Now they're close enough to hear. 8, through those openings, stepped ambassadors from other worlds. Not ships or machines, but manifestations of planetary consciousness taking humanoid form. Some looked similar to humans. Others were wildly different crystalline beings, entities made of pure energy, creatures that existed partially in dimensions Hyunwoo couldn't perceive. We are the garden, they said in unison, speaking in every language simultaneously. We are the living worlds, conscious and awake. For 4 billion years, we have grown separately, each nurturing our own forms of life. Now we wake together. Now we join the galaxy, not as individual planets, but as a united consciousness. We come in peace. We come to help. We come to ensure that life and awareness spread to every corner of reality. Professor Chanwoo turned to Hyunwoo. This is why we needed you. You and others like you, people who live in the space between worlds, who understand both galactic civilization and Earth's unique nature. You will be our ambassadors. You'll teach the galaxy that we're not a threat, but an opportunity. An opportunity for what? Minji asked. For growth, Sukja said. For healing. For bringing consciousness to dead worlds and guiding young civilizations. The 7 races that we erased, they're not gone forever. They're sleeping, preserved in quantum stasis. We can restore them if they're willing to change, to grow, to join the garden, rather than fight against it. You can bring them back? Hyunwoo felt hope surge. The Vroth Collective, the Meridians, all of them? We can do more than that, Bitna said. We can show the galaxy what's possible. When consciousness expands beyond individual beings. When entire worlds think together. When life itself becomes aware of what it is and chooses to nurture more life. In the distance, more rifts opened. More garden worlds arriving. The sky over Seoul became a tapestry of light and presence. Humans throughout the city began to sing not a planned song, but a spontaneous harmony that emerged from 10 billion voices acting as one. Ambassador Yuna wept. I spent my whole life feeling disconnected from Earth. Now, I understand. I was never separate. None of us were. We're all part of this. Yes, Chanwu said gently. And now that we're awake, we can teach that truth to the galaxy. Not through force or fear, but through demonstration. We'll show them what humanity can accomplish when every person understands they're part of something larger. Hyunwoo looked at his team. Ji-won, who had lost her battalion. Minji, who had spent her life studying dead languages. Yoonji, who saw patterns in quantum chaos. Yuna, who finally understood her heritage. All of them changed by this revelation. What happens now? He asked. Bitna smiled. Now we grow. The garden expands. The sleeper is awake. And the galaxy will bloom. Be understood for years. Come, Chanwu said, gesturing to Hyunwoo and his team. Come to Earth. Land without fear. We have been waiting so long to speak with those who live beyond our reach. There is much to discuss and much to plan. The galaxy is about to change, and we will need guides to help navigate what comes next. Ji-won set course for Earth's surface. As they descended through the atmosphere, Hyunwoo saw the planet with new eyes. This wasn't humanity's home. Humanity was Earth's body. Every person below them was a cell in something vast and ancient and powerful beyond measure. They had come to warn Earth of danger. Instead, they had awakened something that had been sleeping since before the dinosaurs walked. The galaxy would never be the same. Neither would humanity, High Chancellor said quietly. I cannot give you official access, but I cannot stop a determined researcher from trying. It was as close to permission as they were going to get. Hyunwoo glanced at Minji and Yuna. Both nodded. They would go to Keeper 9. They would find the truth, regardless of what it cost them. Behind them, the council dissolved into heated arguments about what to do with Earth. But Hyunwoo was already planning their next move. Somewhere in those archives was an answer. Somewhere in 12,000 years of investigation was the truth about why 7 civilizations had died after warning about a single blue planet. He just hoped they would survive finding it. The chamber erupted. Delegates shouted in hundreds of languages. Some demanded Earth's immediate destruction. Others called for investigation. A few suggested strengthening the quarantine and forgetting they had ever learned this information. Through the chaos, Hyunwoo noticed one person sitting in absolute silence. Ambassador Yuna Lee, the human representative, stared at him with an expression he couldn't read. She was young for an ambassador, descended from one of the few human colonies established before Earth's quarantine. She had never seen her ancestral homeworld. Order! Morith's voice cut through the noise, like a blade. There is more you need to know. The High Chancellor's next words changed everything Hyunwoo thought he understood about the universe.